historians, two things changed the course of European history. One was the capture of Constantinople by the Turks in 1453, and the other was the contemporary control of the Guinea coast by Portugal. The first prevented the Europeans from venturing into the east by the land route, and the second opened a whole new world for exploration. That is, the Atlantic coast now came to the forefront.
That was the beginning of Europe's hegemony over the rest of the world. However, long before the arrival of the Portuguese, the region from East Africa and Ethiopia to Arabia, the Yemen, Persia, India and the Indonesian archipelago witnessed an economic, social and cultural integration into complex patterns under the aegis of Islam. It was a world economy in and around the Indian Ocean, with India at its center and the Middle East and China as its two dynamic poles. This Islamic global order absorbed the onslaughts from the east by the Mongol armies, but the crusades from the west by Christendom proved intractable in the long run.
According to the Annals School of Historians, geography plays a very significant role in the making of history. For example, it is the ocean currents, the course of the rivers, the tides, the wind directions, which in fact shape history. For example, if you take up the case of Portugal, especially if you take up the case of the Iberian Peninsula, you will see that its location is in the 40 degrees north parallel. Now, the best sea routes, that is, this is the time when mechanized ships had not come into existence. They had to depend on wind directions, the sailing ships. The best location was between, or in this latitude, between 42 degrees and 35 degrees north. So the Iberian Peninsula was very, very advantageously placed as far as the geography of the place was concerned.
This was the Iberian phase of colonial expansion that was underlined by papal blessings and a crusading spirit. Technological innovations like fast sailing ships mounted with maneuverable guns gave an advantage to the Iberian sailors.
If you take up the case of Portugal, you see that she has a vast coastline. She has a population which was seafaring because she has a vast coastline. She has the population of fishermen who actually have a thorough knowledge about the sea. This is the class of people who will actually not, dither to venture out into the sea. Now, another very important aspect about the capture of Constantinople was this, that the spice trade or goods from the east now went directly into the hands of the Islamic world. So there was this growing desire to find an alternative route to acquire the spices and the eastern goods. And this in fact led the Portuguese to venture into the sea and ultimately, of course, land at the Indies, and later, of course, Christopher Columbus landed in what is the West Indies today, and that led to the discovery of America.
With the discovery of America by Columbus and the sea route to India by Vasco da Gama, both in the last decade of the 15th century, a new world order began to take shape. The geographical extension beyond Europe, Africa and Asia to the New World and the antipodes made this new order truly global.
The first naval expedition, or the first overseas areas that Portugal actually captured, was the Atlantic Islands and Gibraltar. What is important about the Atlantic Islands is this, that this is the time, the 16th century is the time where you find a population upsurge in Europe. Now, the existing lands were all settled in Europe. Now, if land was still a commodity which was the basis of the economy, and if you had to depend on land, then by the time you come to the 16th century, it is probably overcrowded. So you had to look for new avenues. The Atlantic Islands provided that avenue. And not only that, it was kind of a springboard into Africa, the western coast of Africa, especially Morocco. Corn from Morocco was one integral part of the trade that Portugal really wanted to control. And controlling Gibraltar also meant that the Arab incursions into these areas could be halted. What is important regarding Brazil is this, that the Portuguese acquired a lot of cultivation rights out there. They started cultivating, mixing with the people there, and it is not only the Portuguese, now the Spanish also come in, the bullion from America which became important. In fact, where the Americas is concerned, Portugal just, claimed one area, that is Brazil. The other areas, starting with Peru, if you look at the islands of what is today West Indies, Mexico, if you look at what is today the USA, you find the Spanish presence. In fact, the silver of Peru was one of the major factors which induced Spain to make further explorations into America. The influx of bullion into Europe brought about immense changes, not only in the economics of Europe, but also the society of Europe.
In a triangular trade pattern, manufactured goods were brought from Europe to Africa. Slaves from Africa were taken to the Americas, and plantation crop from the Americas were brought to Europe. Expanding European empires in the New World lacked a workforce. Africans were excellent workers. They often had experience in agricultural work and in cattle keeping. They were used to a tropical climate, resistant to tropical diseases, and they could be worked very hard on the plantations and in the mines. In the long run, the slave trade proved more useful than gold trade.
ম্যাম, পর্তুগালের এই অভিযানে ক্রুসেডের গুরুত্ব কতখানি?
The Crusades, in fact, played a very significant role as far as the geographical explorations were concerned. That is, if you look at the time, you know that the Moors had already occupied what is today Spain. Now, by the time you come to the 16th century, you find, or in fact the 15th century, you find that there was this attempt by Christendom to recapture the areas that the forces of Islam had captured. But they were not able to do so in the East. It is only in Western Europe that they were able to recapture their possessions. Now, what happened is this, that especially if you look at Henry the Navigator, one of his chief aims as to why he wanted to circumnavigate, or he wanted the powers or various people to circumnavigate Africa, was the fact that he wanted to encircle Islam. So the first, with the occupation of the Atlantic Islands and the control over Morocco, the major desire of Henry the Navigator was actually these were to act as the first steps towards the encirclement of Islam. So containment of Islam or the forces of Islam was one major factor in which was responsible for these explorations. Not the only factors, of course, because the economic factors now become much more important. In fact, it was the Arab traders, if you should all know that is, it is the Arab traders who actually controlled the carriage trade with India. That is, they carried the goods to the Red Sea region, across the Mediterranean. They were sold at the ports in Venice and Genoa, because of which the Venetian and the Genoese merchants became very rich. And from there, the other parts of Europe got an access to the goods of the Orient. Now, once you see that Portugal come to the western coast of India, they will try to edge out these Arab merchants from this Indian Ocean trade. And they are eventually very successful in doing so. So crusades did play a very important role, because the Christian world wanted to counteract the forces of Islam. And with this, one of the major aims of Henry the Navigator was this, that to encircle the Islamic world by the forces of the Christendom or the Christian world.
The Catholic order went through a critical phase when, in the 16th century, Martin Luther split the Christian church and a Protestant expansion was added to the original Iberian Catholic thrust.
Now, the first place that we find Portugal occupying in the African coast was Madeira was settled in 1420. They failed to capture the Canaries between 1425 and 27, and we find that eventually they captured Azores in 1430. Now, from here, if you go right down the western coast of Africa, you have to turn around the Cape of Good Hope and then finally cross the Indian Ocean and land in India. And these things, these experiments were continuing. Eventually, we find Vasco da Gama being very successful and landing in the dominions of the Zamorin in the Malabar coast. Now, once Vasco da Gama lands there, once Calicut is occupied, you know, Calicut is occupied by the Portuguese by defeating the Gujarati merchants and the Muslim merchants there, the joint forces of that. And once the Portuguese realized that they are capable of actually defeating the fleet or the powers of the Orient, they become all the more confident. The only impediment, the problem with Portugal was this, that European goods were not of the same quality as the goods that the Arabs brought. So, obviously, the market for European goods in India was not good. The Indians would want the Arab merchants to come and carry their ware and sell it here. So, the only one way to sort of edge out the Arab merchants from the Indian Ocean trade was to fight with them, was to defeat them in war. And this the Portuguese very successfully did, because one of the policies of the Portuguese was to set up what? Forts. What was the utility of these forts in the coastal areas of India? These would act as areas which would be fortified, so that any other power desiring to carry on trade with India would be thwarted. And eventually the Arabs lost out. Eventually they lost out, and the Red Sea route, trade route, closed down. That led to a problem in the Italian ports also, because the Genoese and the Venetian merchants obviously were not getting the oriental wares anymore. The whole spice trade, not only the spice trade, you find newer products, indigo coming from India. You have porcelain from China. You have precious gems. All these actually were monopolized by the Portuguese. They made huge profits. And one of the policies of the Portuguese was this, what is called, which is very important, it is called Albuquerque's Navisat system. That is, any ship wanting to carry on trade in the Indian Ocean region would need a certificate or a permission from a Portuguese port in that area. Obviously, it was natural that the Portuguese were not going to grant it to any other power other than the Portuguese. So this Navisat system was very, very important as far as the Portuguese trade or the monopoly of the Portuguese in the seas was concerned.
আমরা তো ইংল্যান্ডকে বাণিজ্যিক জাতি হিসেবে জানি, তাহলে এক্ষেত্রে পর্তুগাল কেন অগ্রগতি লাভ করলো ইংল্যান্ডের তুলনায়?
In fact, if you see the period that we are talking about, the naval might of England had not yet evolved into what it eventually became later. Another reason is this, that Spain and Portugal were the powers who had been threatened by the arms of Islam. So the fighting spirit was much more evident in the Portuguese and the Spanish than in England. So if one of the major reasons as to why Portugal ventured out into the high seas was this, that they wanted to counteract the Islamic threat. Something which England was not directly affected by, because England was not a part of the mainland. It was an island. And the other advantage, as I told you, I was talking about the advantage of the Iberian Peninsula. I was talking about the time where developments in shipping had not reached that stage where you could actually not rely on the wind directions and the various pressure zones. So since the Iberian Peninsula, the Andalusian coast, were very advantageously positioned as far as the geographical location is concerned, that is why it was easy for these people to take their ships, because the parallel that the location of this area was in the 40 degrees north parallel, and this area was very suitable for overseas trade, because the ships would be benefited by the sea winds in this area. And eventually, with the development of the shipping industry, where ships no longer had to depend on wind directions, then you have England actually becoming important.
The later Protestant empires of Holland and England were interested more in the money of the people they traded with than their souls. Yet they took the church along with them.
The other important aspect of what is called the Eastern trade or the Eastern Empire of the Portuguese is this, that after some time, see, from the beginning of the 16th century and more so from the mid-16th century, we find that gradually the government of Portugal was losing interest in this trade. What they were doing was, they were letting out, giving it in contracts, and they did not even have any qualms about, letting out these or giving these contracts to the Muslim world. So it was the monetary benefits that accrued from contracting, giving trade into contract or trade rights, the contracts that they let out, the trade contracts that they let out, the monetary considerations which became important. Another factor as to why Portugal eventually lost out to England eventually, was because the whole thing was actually the whole thing was something which was supported, and the whole thing was something which the Portuguese monarchy actually played a very significant role in. Where the English is concerned, you will see from the very beginning, the major chunk of the commercial relations between England and India was carried out by the East India Company, which was a public limited company. For the case of Portugal, this was not the case. In fact, for most of the other European powers, this was not the case. One reason as to why the East India Company was so successful, whereas the other companies or whereas the other governments could not actually compete with the English East India Company, was because of this. That this was a private limited company which did not depend on the government. Its fortunes did not depend on the government. Whereas, if you're talking about Portugal or Spain, the whole thing was under the control of the government. So it was a kind of a government policy decision which actually made or marred the trade with either India or later with America. Now, one of the other reasons as to why we find that the Portuguese really lost out in this eastern trade was the distance between Lisbon and the western coast of India. Goa actually became the nerve center of Portuguese trade in Eastern India. The distance, it was very difficult to control the Indian trade from a distant place as Portugal. And the other thing is that it was not possible. Portugal is a very small country. It was not possible actually to import Portuguese into India and set up a kind of an setup which could actually control the Western trade. So these drawbacks eventually led to the English actually taking over from the Portuguese in the 17th century. Where Spain is concerned, the moment they landed at Peru, they realized that the indigenous population there were the sedentary population who depended on agriculture for their livelihood. So they realize that if they go to Spain, if they go to Peru, then what they can do is convert this agriculture, the sedentary agricultural class, into a subordinate peasantry. So it was actually the extension of agriculture in Peru, which would, not only in Peru, in the new areas that they settled. In fact, Mexico came to be known as the New Spain. That was the heartland of the Spanish acquisitions in America. So the corn from these areas, the food grains from these areas augmented the supplies in Europe. And added to this was the silver and the gold that you got from the Americas. The way Spain, administered these new territories was very different from how the other European powers did. Because Spain considered the empire that it had acquired, or I won't say the empire, I would say the territories that it had acquired in this new land as an extension of its existing kingdom. These were not her colonies, these were not subordinated to the Spanish Empire, but it sort of became a kind of a sister kingdom to the Spanish Empire. So this is important as far as Spain is concerned, because it considered them as their subjects, the people of those areas as their subjects. Similarly, the people of the New World were also considered as their subjects. So Spanish rules and regulations were also implemented in these new areas. It was very difficult actually to control the new land, or this what is called the New Spain or the New Kingdom, from such a distant place as Spain. So what did they do? Within the system of this new world, they introduced certain checks and balances. right from the governor to the lowest administrative officials, there was always a system of check and balance. There was no singular authority who were given all the powers. So in this way, Spain was successful in controlling her empire outside Spain, that is, in the Americas.
The Europeans who went across the world selling new products of industrial capitalism carried with them the values of enlightenment as well as Christianity. Thus, Western civilization came to the Iberian colonies as a pre-modern Catholic civilization, while the Dutch and English colonies got a strong dose of trade and rationality with soft peddling of Christian elements. The cultures and economies of the vanquished were transformed through exchange and the introduction of new technology.